Welcome to this podcast for Brighton School of Business and Management students studying for the Btec Level 7 courses. For this unit, you'll need to satisfy the criteria exactly as laid down in the assignment brief and as described here, but you should, wherever possible, use examples from the strategic quality management and IT activity taking place in your own organisation and business sector, as well as showing evidence of having studied the unit topics in depth and breadth by referring, where appropriate, to relevant models, theories and established best practices. To enhance your understanding of these assignment issues, we strongly advise that you also discuss them with senior managers and senior quality and IT specialists in your own organisation. Each section should be approximately 375 words, but this is flexible up to around 450 words, not including graphics or illustrations, so you'll need to keep your responses focused on what is being specifically asked for in each section. Section 1. Here you need to explain or describe what operations management is and what it covers. Operations managers in most organisations are managing routine activities and also contributing to or managing strategic activities. You'll need to explain why the management activity at both levels is so important. For this bullet point, you need to focus on a specific organisation, ideally your own, or if that is not possible, then a typical organisation in a specific sector, and its strategic management objectives. Identify and describe the operations management processes which are currently in place, and evaluate the contribution of those to the achievement of the strategic objectives. Section 2. Quality management encompasses all levels of quality activity, planning, assurance, management, control and continuous improvement, usually contained within a quality assurance management system such as ISO 9001, Business Excellent Model or PQA-SSO and supporting policies. You'll need to refer to these as you discuss how effective quality management is in helping organisations achieve their operational and their strategic objectives. And here you'll need to focus on a specific organisation, ideally your own, or if that is not possible, then a typical organisation in a specific sector. Identify and briefly describe what quality management processes are in place, and then evaluate the contribution of those to the achievement of strategic management objectives. Section 3, again focusing on a specific organisation, ideally your own, or if that's not possible, a typical organisation in a specific sector. You'll need to identify a strategic quality change that would improve organisational performance. The change must be a strategic one, such as introducing an integrated management system or adopting a total quality management approach. The plan should be in outline, showing timescales, stages, resources, and forecast objectives and outcomes. Following on from the bullet point above, here you need to provide details of the human, physical and financial resources, the tools and techniques, and think project planning here, and systems, IT, QM, HR, etc. needed to support your planned change. Bullet point 3, focusing on the change you have planned above, evaluate and discuss the wider implications of that planned change, for example in terms of overall performance, training and development, morale and motivation, culture change, supplier relations and so on. The last bullet point requires you to design a set of mechanisms which collectively will enable you to monitor the implementation and ultimate success of your planned change. It should include both internal mechanisms and procedures and also externally sourced mechanisms. Section 4. Here you should draw on established change management best practices, focusing on the implementation stage, but taking into account the wider aims of a quality change, such as changing routine practices, changing attitudes and changing the culture within an organisation. On the second bullet point, embedding a quality culture into an organisation that has previously not had such a culture is very difficult, but there are established processes and approaches which have proved to be successful. These are usually multi-layered rather than a single approach or mechanism, and are contained in one of the best known approaches, that of Kaizen. You'll need to discuss this and other methods of embedding quality into an organisation's culture. Finally, you'll need to draw on the established change management and control techniques, but slightly adapted to take into account the need for quality to be embedded into the culture, the way of working and the spirit of the organisation, rather than the monitoring needed for a more straightforward, less complex change. Section 5, in a similar way to the last point in Section 4, here you'll need to draw on the established methods of evaluating outcomes after a change has been made or a project completed. However, in the case of a strategic quality change, it is necessary to evaluate outcomes for which hard evidence is available, such as improvements to the attributes of a product or services, but it is also necessary to evaluate the outcomes which can be more difficult to assess, such as enhanced customer satisfaction levels or a more positive quality-focused culture. You will also need to give examples of how you would evaluate both types of outcome. On the second bullet point, again, ideally choosing your own organisation, or if that's not possible, then a typical organisation in a specific sector, you'll need to recommend improvements to the actual change itself, not the quality activity that it has generated. This could include the way the change was identified, analysed and researched, the decision-making process, the objectives, the planning, the implementation and the monitoring. Don't forget that you'll also need to write a reflective statement and add a list of sources of information and references showing any books, websites, articles, case studies, reports, internal documents and people interviewed that you drew on to complete this assignment. The reflective statement and sources of information and references are not included in your word count. Here is a list of websites that you should find useful when completing this assignment. If you need any further help or assistance with this assignment, please contact your tutor.